Hi again, everyone. Super excited to talk here with MacBrennan Peet, co-founder of MarginFi, on what's next for MarginFi. I'm Camila Russo, the founder of The Defiant, the best source of DeFi news. Starting with just the basics on MarginFi, you're one of the biggest lenders on Solana. What differentiates you from other DeFi lenders, and what product has found the most fit with users?
MarginFi is about Margin Lend, which is like the lending component of MarginFi, is about a year old. In 2023, it was the fastest growing DeFi product in the industry, like Solana, Ethereum. And that's sort of like our foundation for what we're building at the protocol layer at MarginFi. We have like a really defined thesis that in like the crypto native terms, a borrow lend, a stable coin, and a stable swap are the same product. They should use the same liquidity, they should use the same risk, they should be the same UX. There's a ton of like capital efficiencies that come when you effectively combine these three products. And so Margin Lend is our start to that. Margin Lend is our effective foundation for that. And in terms of like differentiation, I think it's very much a question of accessibility. So we have like three main work streams at MarginFi. One is expanding the protocol layer. Two is expanding our like developer ecosystem. So we now have, I think, 15 teams building like really dedicated, unique products on top of MarginFi. That we're really focused on supporting. Like some are coming out of stealth, some are like Web 2 veterans that have built like viral apps when it comes to just like the Web 2 world. And then the third is like our application layer. Like we have a lot of work we're doing at the application layer. And the accessibility comes, like you can use MarginFi right now just with your Google account, with your Apple account, with your email. You don't need a crypto wallet. You don't even need to hold crypto before you use MarginFi. And that's already like a pretty distinct differentiation in terms of a lot of the DeFi products out there. A lot of the DeFi products out there sort of just self-serve to realistically like a group of like 250,000 power users within DeFi as a whole, which is tiny. Like that's not scalable at all. And like we're very focused on sort of like breaking outside of that. So I think accessibility is one, and then also just like selection. Like we have a really, really deep selection of assets at Margin Lend. So you know, whatever assets you're holding, there's like if they're a widely used asset on Solana, we probably offer that. Yeah.
Perfect. And just a quick follow-up on the accessibility point. Do you think realistically, do you think that users outside of those hardcore 250,000 DeFi users are using MarginFi right now, or is it more of like, you think so?
Yeah, so we know so. We've been tracking this pretty heavily. We now have like some like interesting penetration with like early markets, just like on a global scale. I think a easy way to encapsulate that is like, just ask yourself, how many people in the world use a bank, right? And it's quite a lot of people, but it's also like very segmented towards the financial infrastructure in your region, like the currencies that you hold. The cool thing about MarginFi is it's sort of like, it's better than a bank in a lot of ways. Like one, all you need is an internet connection to use MarginFi. You don't need like a social security number or a passport number. Two, you can see everything that's happening with your money on MarginFi. With a bank, you can't. Like MarginFi is open source, double audited, code verified, transparent. You can see where your yield is coming from borrowers. In a bank, you can't. Three, you can hold like stable currencies in MarginFi, right? You can hold like the tokenized US dollar and get 11%, 20% over-collateralized yield on that. A lot of people around the world don't have access to like a real stable currency, especially when it lines up to the US dollar. So that's really
like
powerful.
Here.
Yeah. And so these things already sort of show like just how powerful this is as a product. And so when you think of like all the people that have a bank account or something that acts similar to a bank account, in my mind, that is like our TAM. Like that's our addressable market. That's who we're trying to help. And it makes me really excited when like people outside of, like people in countries where there's like the financial infrastructure isn't as great or the national currency isn't as stable, can benefit from MarginFi. Just again, with an internet connection and an email login or a crypto wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I agree with you that DeFi is 10x, maybe 100x better than a traditional bank. But I was wondering whether you have any evidence that people outside of that core Web3 native group is using MarginFi right now. Like in the future, yes, but
yeah. I mean, we have someone actually in the Margin Telegram like posted a photo like 2 days ago of him onboarding his dad to MarginFi, and his dad just being amazed of like, oh my goodness, like I can get 20% yield on tokenized US dollars, and I can see exactly what's happening. It's all over collateralized, and it's instant. I can move money out in a second. I don't have to wait 3 days to transfer it from like one account to the other, right? So yeah, we have like that's just like a very explicit example where like we have like margin community people, onboarding their like parents, which is like really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's the first step toward getting like a normie quote unquote user is the crypto native users just onboarding their closest network to DeFi. Now switching gears a bit, MarginFi has recently gone through a very tumultuous period, right? So you got to a peak of over 800 million TVL, but that dropped drastically to about half of that, around 400 million, after one of your co-founders left or stepped down, I think following a disagreement over when or whether to issue a token. So I'd love to chat a bit about that, like what led to that outcome?
Yeah, so there was a few things that happened. Like one, my co-founder left like pretty abruptly, and so everyone just sort of, it captured a lot of attention. Like MarginFi is like one of the most used DeFi applications like in the industry. So a lot of people, it had a lot of attention when that happened. The cool thing that happened, there's like a few things that happened that are actually like pretty amazing. One, like a lot of people who didn't have as much of an understanding of just the efficiencies that like on-chain, like an on-chain protocol brings, just withdrew their money because they were unsure what's happening. And that money's already coming back in. Like if you look at MarginFi inflows, they've been net positive since that incident. Two, something really cool, $300 million moved out of MarginFi in a day. That is not possible in a bank. You can't move $300 million out of a bank in a day. You can't even move $300 million outside of a lot of protocols like across crypto in a day. Like liquidations will fail. A lot of protocols like explicitly don't allow that. They'll have like withdrawal limits. MarginFi does not. This happened while Solana, I'm sure everyone here sort of remembers, Solana was like extremely congested as well. So from a matter of landing transactions for like liquidators and protocol solvency, this is like a really great time of like just stress testing. So this actually just showed how much more efficient MarginFi is as a protocol, as a money market where you can move this money out in a day. Everything can work seamlessly. Like the people who all the lenders who left their money in MarginFi were earning like close to 80% yields at that time. And now inflows are coming in because the other thing is MarginFi is secured by a multi-sig. So one person can't affect MarginFi. One person can't do anything to MarginFi. It's sort of like this shared on-chain program. So a lot of people that withdrew their money just didn't understand that. And that's sort of like on us to sort of like effectively communicate, hey, we're building a resilient system here. One person has no control over what happens at the protocol layer. And then at the second point, there wasn't really any disagreements over like token. MarginFi is designed to be decentralized, to have a token to MarginFi is designed to sort of, like, we're working really hard on building out our governance process behind the scenes. And we actually just take this really seriously. Like, we take the concept of governance and the concept of, like, token ownership, like, extremely seriously. And, like, we're not as interested in just, like, or the Margin Foundation isn't as interested in just, like, putting out a token for the sake of having a token, right? Like, we're interested in having a token where it means something and it, like, has, like, embedded like, real governance weight in the process. And so that's why we've been, like, just very methodical about it. Margin's like a team of, like, 12, I think, I gotta count them up in my head, world-class people from the brink of, like, HFT and cybersecurity and robotics and digital identity. It's like the SEAL Team 6 of crypto, and we've kept very lean up to this point. And we're also just very focused of, like, the effective work that a token brings to the formula. We want to, like, be able to hire into that as well and, like, be staffed for that and be prepared for that. And so that's sort of, like, those are just some of the things that were that, like, are important to us and just, like, transparently, like, how we think about things.
Great points that you made on the fact that people were able to withdraw 300 million, like, close to half of your TVL in one day.
Yeah.
That already proves the resilience of DeFi.
Yeah, and this was also while it was, like, if you look on, like, a USD value chart, it's about 400 million that came out, because this is also while Solana was, like, spiking in price. It went from, like, $190 to, like, $120 or something like that, $130, which is also, like, that puts a lot of stress on our liquidation systems, our risk systems.
Right.
Like, again, if this happened in a off-chain, like, lending protocol, if this happened in a lot of, like, on-chain protocols.
We saw with the regional banking crisis in the US how when, you know, there was all this concern about liquidity and collateral and so on, people were not able to withdraw money from their bank accounts.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, we already have that example very recently of, you know, what happens in TradFi when a crisis goes down.
Yeah.
But so if it wasn't questions about the token, I mean, that's what the co-founder that left had said, you know, very publicly and sometimes a bit aggressively, that's why he left. So, I mean, not to dwell too much on the past, but just to understand what that conflict was all about. So why did he leave so abruptly?
Yeah, I think that's just like what he wanted, essentially. Like, I think he just wanted to, like, it's really stressful. Like, this is a 24/7 job. There's no weekends in building, like, a on-chain finance protocol.
Okay, so things got like too much, I guess, for him, or
potentially,
too tense.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, and to clarify on the token point, then. Right way. So, like, are there specific milestones that you're waiting to hit, or, like, what's the roadmap that you're looking at there?
Token is sort of like the domain of the Margin Foundation. We have, like, 3 main work streams that we're really focused on at like the whole margin layer. At the protocol layer, our will be coming out target this month. We just wrapped up our second audit, so we got it audited by AuditorSec and Sec3, which are, like, 2 of the best in the business. For this, so we have about 12 million of initial committed bootstrap liquidity for this, and, like, we want to get this up over, like, 100 million.
Where's that liquidity coming from?
People who, so just to give an overview of, like, Solana and why this is so needed. Solana DeFi as a whole right now is, like, completely reliant on USDC. They depegged, Solana DeFi would be in a really rough spot. USDC, like, underlines all major trading pairs. And so Solana really doesn't have, like, a decentralized stablecoin that's stable asset, something where just like LSTs accrue value against SOL, YVX is going to accrue value against USD. We now have be able to mint YVX day one. So YVX will be collateralized by the LSTs lent into MarginFi from minters. And so this is really exciting. Pegs, 100% of your portfolio to pegs, right? And you can't really rebalance that portfolio into DAI or Frax, for example, which are two like Ethereum native stablecoins, because DAI to USDC, like YVX will be collateralized by Solana LSTs only to start. So this will be like you'll be able to diversify your stablecoin exposure with this. The staking yields, the MEV capture, and soon the lending yields in MarginFi. That'll be naturally rebased to YVX. And three, YVX, like there's already a main margined asset. So you'll be able to use it in a bunch of places. So target this month, we just wrapped up, second audit. Like we want to do this right, and then soon after YVX, we're going to introduce. This is something. So again, like our thesis at the protocol layer is borrow, lend, a stable coin, and a stable swap are the same thing. We're going to introduce crypto's first ever what we're calling an integrated stable swap, where the existing liquidity in MarginFi you can use to move between if someone wants to swap from like USDC to USDT, for example, or to YVX. You can use the existing liquidity in MarginFi to do that, which is really cool. So that means for a lender, you're not only earning lending interest, you're also earning swapping fees on top of that. So like a first in its class product that'll come out this year as well. Like that's really just what's in front of us at the protocol layer. Again, at the developer layer, some teams are going to be coming out of stealth soon, and we've been working with some like public teams as well. We want to continue to reinforce that. We have like a lot of support available for that. And then at the application layer, we're very focused in turning Margin into like a native mobile app. So we want a native mobile app that, again, you don't need to use a wallet to access. So anywhere in the world can get access to incredible over-collateralized stable rates, just using their email address to sign in or whatever. And it's still all on chain. It's still all transparent. It's protocolized. It's audited. It's open source. I think that's like a really powerful product.
Awesome. I have a few like quick follow-ups. So you talked about YVX, your stablecoin that you're looking to launch this month. Do you have a separate governance token that you also want to launch, or will the stablecoin be MarginFi's main token?
No. So the protocol, what we're building at the protocol layer is, again, like this unified borrow, lend, stablecoin, stable swap. Margin's governance token will have governance across all three primitives.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay, and then the fact that you're only backing the stablecoin with LSTs definitely introduces some risk, right? Because you're relying on the value of the LST to actually stay pegged to SOL. How are you mitigating that risk?
Yeah, so it's similar to if you were borrowing USDC against an LST on Solana, right? Like if the collateral value of your LST goes down according to in respect to the value that you've borrowed in USDC, at a certain threshold, you open yourself up to liquidation. It's the same sort of thing. So based on how collateralized you are with YVX, you're much more protected against liquidation. And also, we as a team, we really believe in sort of long-term success of Solana DeFi, and so we see Solana as like a really great form of collateral over a long time horizon. And our systems are ready for that. Like again, we saw Solana go from, again, 190 to like 130 at a high point of Solana blockchain congestions, and our risk systems handled it perfectly. yeah, we're super prepared for the ups and downs that Solana will have moving forward.
And as I understand, those staking yields will be accrued directly to the stablecoin holder. Like you don't need to stake it anywhere. Like it'll just be rebased.
You'll just have it in your wallet, and you'll watch the value rise against.
That's pretty original. Like a lot of
cool.
this like yield accruing stablecoins, you need to stake them in order to accrue yield. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Okay, and then as we start to wrap up, like want to hear about like the longer term vision for MarginFi and how the stablecoin is part of it. Like, do you view YVX as hopefully becoming like the default stablecoin for the Solana ecosystem? Like where does MarginFi fit in the broader Solana and broader blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, Solana as an ecosystem will have room for centralized stablecoins and decentralized stablecoins, and that's good. That's like a form of redundancy, and that's like good for risk, and it's a healthy thing. I think YVX will be Solana's like decentralized stablecoin. Like that's what I want it to be, and yeah, we have like super high hopes for it, and yeah, I'm super excited for it. Yeah.
Some of the like scaling challenges that on the Ethereum side decentralized stablecoins have faced is that you only get so much collateral available when you're only relying on like crypto native assets. So that's why DAI started incorporating USDC and like real world assets. And so how do you think about that problem?
Yeah, I hope to quickly run into that problem. Like that's just like a healthy capacity problem. We're very focused on starting with LSTs, but yeah, absolutely. Like that doesn't mean we can't expand outside that. And there's a lot of other options as well outside of just like USDT or USDC, for example, in terms of forms of collateral. So we'll absolutely like given we execute well with YVX, we'll hit that point. But like I'm just excited to have that problem essentially, and we'll expand the collateral set, and we'll continue to grow YVX and yeah, that'll just be a good thing. Yeah.
Awesome. And then more broadly for MarginFi, you're building this app that doesn't need a crypto that hopefully like everyone can use. Yeah. And you have this pretty unique take on just combining swaps, lending, and possibly like payments with a stable coin. So how do you think MarginFi can transition from being like a Solana native DeFi app to just like a fintech that anyone can use globally?
Yeah, I think it's nailing, that's why we're so focused on the application layer, like a mobile experience that doesn't require any prior crypto knowledge or assets or a wallet to sign in, which we're already sort of there. You can use MarginFi today as a progressive web app on your phone, so you can download it from your mobile browser, and you can sign in with Google or Apple or your password, and then your wallet is set up, and you can have it as like a pretty native app already, iOS or Android on your phone. We're just missing like people who are very, very accustomed to the flow of like going to the App Store to download things, and so yeah, we want to hit that, but given we turn MarginFi, like also enable like native application downloads, we're like 80% of the way there in terms of like it being like a true fintech app. Because at that point, yeah, you can sort of do all those things. You already can do all those things. It's just a PWA instead of like a native app. Yeah.
So what are kind of the couple of things that are missing that will get you to 100% there?
Yeah. So I think a lot of what's missing is just more effective communication on like why MarginFi is so much different and better in like sort of like the optimized way of having a money market, like having something that's like acts like similar to a bank account on your phone. That's what we're like super focused on. It just comes with a lot of like there's a time element to it. There's a communication element to it. And there's also just like, as we onboard more and more people who are outside of crypto in terms of like native on-chain users, it becomes an easier sell to more and more people outside of crypto because like their friends are using it, their family's using it. Yeah, like leaning into that natural growth process is something we're pretty focused on.
Awesome, super interesting stuff. So I think, it's great to see projects focusing on how to get non-crypto natives to use their dApps so that DeFi just becomes finance down the line.
Yeah, 100%.
So thanks so much, MacBrennan.
Yeah,
Great chatting.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone.